Safety Committee. Today is May 8th, 2024. Would the chair like to start the meeting? Thank you.
Start with the pledge.
All right. Next slide, please. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, thank you. For today's roll call, I would like to go one by one. Hopefully, I apologize, they're not necessarily in the same order. Oliver Collins.
Present.
Member Ben Doyle.
Here.
Member Faith Denham Sims.
Present.
Member Kent Moriarty.
I'm here.
All right. My apologies, Oliver Collins. You are also a member, Oliver Collins. And I'll be presenting today as the staff. My name is Nasbia Hubner. Next slide, please. Let's begin with the approval of the minutes. Do any members here have any comments or revisions to make from the last meeting's minutes? All right, and if none would like to make, if there aren't any revisions, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, one more time, let's go through. Member Doyle?
Aye.
Member Kent Moriarty?
Approve.
Member Oliver Collins?
I abstain. I was not here last month.
Okay. Abstained. And Member Faith Denham Sims?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Can we move to the next slide, please? For this segment, the committee member reports, do any of the members here have any reports to share for this period?
Yeah, I have one. I received feedback on the survey about the active transportation plan. That sometimes none of the options that are there to vote on are something that people want to see, and so they'd like an option to suggest something different or put a comment.
Okay.
I have just a comment on that walk and roll website that you're talking about. There is a map where you can put comments, and you can see comments that other people have made, and you can make comments on their comments. So it's a pretty I don't know, engaging way of making comments. So maybe that's one way of addressing that concern that person had.
Yeah, thanks. I've seen that, and I showed them the same thing. The one in particular that I heard a complaint about was the plans for restriping Appian to accommodate a bike lane. All of them involved narrowing traffic down to one lane in each direction, and they were hoping they could see options that had more lanes for traffic, given the planned new development on that street, both at the corner of 4th and San Pablo and on the side of the old doctor's hospital. And while personally I'm usually pushing in the direction of alternate modes of transportation, I wanted to represent citizen concern.
Okay. Well, thank you for, oh, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind our residents and folks to make sure that as we get into this beautiful weather and we have growth in our yards, that we make sure everyone is responsible for cutting back the hedges and the bushes off the sidewalks and things like that. We have, things are growing quickly, and just a reminder to everyone to be a good neighbor and keep those sidewalks clear of your vegetation. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you so much for your comments, especially regarding ATP. There is a slide for that, and we might get into it a little bit more later. So if you guys have any more comments on that, we'll definitely get to touch base on that a little later. As Member Moriarty said, I believe there is a way to interact via comments on the website. And we've also created a little setup in the front of City Hall. So if anyone wants to write anything down and leave the comments, they're welcome to do that. And I don't think all of those options are final or set in stone. We definitely want to hear what everyone has to say. But again, we'll get into that later, so I won't touch too heavy into it right now. Next slide, please. Oh, we're here. Okay. I'd like to open the floor for any citizens to be heard. Anyone who'd like to speak today, please keep comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here? Okay. Let me see if we have anybody calling in. We have a call from a phone number online. Hello, can you please state your name and please share your comments?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, my name is Anthony, and I'm a longtime resident, taxpayer, and driver, walker of Pinole, mainly in and around the downtown area and down Bayfront, and reside in the Pinole Valley. These are seem to be ongoing public health and safety issues, and as a member of the public and some of my friends and neighbors haven't gotten proper response from the city of Pinole. So, you know, you have the saying, see something or say something, like the commissioner said, if you see this or see that, call in, notify us, let somebody know and do something about it. If not, take it upon yourself. But some of these things we're not going to take upon ourselves, like going into the center of the medial strips in a busy road like Pinole Valley Road in the middle of the day or the middle of the night to always write down the telephone pole numbers that have light outages and so on. So when we bring it to the attention, I thought we have 5 minutes on the clock. You had me down to 2 minutes only now, or 3 minutes? What's the deal with that on the timer? Can somebody reset the clock?
We started you at 3 minutes, which was the allotted time, please.
Oh, well, I had a bad connection in the beginning. I thought it was longer. But, you know, we bring it to the attention of a policeman or a city official or a staffer or commissioner, public works, whatever, whether they live in Pinole or not. And half of the time, if not most of the time, they say it's not our job or it's not our department. So nothing gets done, and nobody calls us back or responds to us in any kind of timely manner or fashion. Case in point, the bridge barriers on Appian Way and the one out on Pinole Valley Road right past the fire station have been damaged and pretty much destroyed with temporary aluminum strips on them. and one has blinking, flashing lights that isn't working. The batteries run out, and I know the police go by there every day or every night past the fire station 74. They can see the sawhorses with the dim lights. There's no reflective or signages out on Pinole Valley Road. They put a whole bunch of time and some money into putting up the signages last month and
You may have
reflectors
15 seconds,
all up
please.
and down San Pablo Avenue, but they didn't do it on Pinole Valley Road. So, and painted the bullnoses with maybe yellow paint. So why are they discriminating against Pinole Valley Road corridor? It's a very dangerous corridor with the lights still being out. The street
Forgive me, your
lights, or
time
a
is up.
dozen street
Thank
lights,
you.
street lights are out on Pinole Valley Road, and those haven't been replaced or repaired yet either. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, Anthony.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Are there any? All right, if there are no more citizens to be heard, I don't have any other phone calls. We can go to the next item, please. Item number 6. Next slide, please. Okay, let's speak about the traffic and pedestrian safety issues. If you'll notice, we have it divided into 3 different segments. We still have the same format as before, but notice that on this slide here, we have item 6A, submitted by citizens. We don't currently have any issues submitted by citizens. Next slide, please. We've included a slide here of agenda items that were requested by the committee in our last meeting. We brought up the topic of the active transportation plan presentation of some type of a meeting or a workshop to be held here during a TAPS meeting for review and some feedback. So for now, we are still in the phase of drafting a report. And so once that's ready, we'll hold a workshop here during a future TAPS meeting. But for now, are there any items or comments or expectations that you guys would like to add to that before we get to that phase?
I really appreciate that that's happening. And any additional like information we can get about it to be prepared with questions would be great. But I mean, I think there's a lot. Most of it seems like it's out there for us to see already. And on the submitted by citizens slide, I was wondering if we could add the email address to submit comments and questions to the slide, just so that every week when that comes up, they can see it and be reminded of where to send comments, so that the city has then potentially a month to chew on it and come up with something to present next time.
For clarification, you mean your email addresses to have shown, or the citizen that submitted their information?
Our email addresses, and or if there's a single email address that goes to everyone, would probably be the one to put, so that everyone has a chance to see it in case someone's out that month.
Okay.
Does Public Works has an email address for submitting complaints about roadway and stuff like that? Maybe if that's the if that's the entry point for complaints, maybe that email address.
Okay.
I mean, I like that Ben's idea to have something up there as a quick reference point for somebody to be able to report stuff to.
Okay. It might be a matter of maybe arrangement of this particular PowerPoint, but we will have a slide at the towards the end. It will contain basically a list of email addresses so that citizens can respond to us or ask us questions or complaints or what have you. So we'll have that up later on, and if you happen to have an agenda, that's also should be showing up in one of the slides, but maybe we can rearrange something to be shown on that slide as well, it sounds like. Okay. For item number 2, please, go ahead.
A comment about the active transportation plan. Ben, I'm glad you were talking about public engagement, because I think that's key. Last time we talked a little bit about how the consultant put on, like, I think 3 pop-up events at the Earth Day thing, and at the park, and at the Trader Joe's shopping center, and I think and one at the farmers market. But they were a really good way for the public to engage and hear what the city's doing and provide their input. I think normally for this sort of thing, after pop-up events, you have an in-person workshop. And Sanjay last week explained that rather than doing that before the draft is written, the consultant was going to put together a draft, and then we were going to have workshops. And the thinking was that that'd be better, because then people have something to comment on, which might be a good way to do it. But when I talked to the consultant at one of the pop-up events, I asked about the workshops, and he said something about them being in just virtual. And I thought that wouldn't be nearly as good as having a real in-person workshop where there's posters up and the public gets to engage and ask questions. And I think it'd be great to have a virtual option, but to simply have a virtual workshop and not an in-person workshop would be kind of cheating the residents of a chance to engage fully. It sounds like we're going to do something here in a TAPS meeting, but I don't know if that's exactly a workshop. That's more kind of a presentation. I'm thinking of a workshop similar to the one that occurred for the Parks Master Plan, where it's informal, there's food, people show up. It was at the senior center. So it's just very informal and a chance for people really to engage. And so I think it's important that we have an in-person workshop, and I don't know what's in the contract with the consultant. And I've sent out some emails saying that's what I think. I haven't gotten any response. I know our TAPS group doesn't have the power to mandate anything. All we can do is make suggestions to the council. But I wonder if I could make a motion that TAPS says we would like there to be that this group says we would like that workshops be in person. Do you guys have any thoughts before
I agree with that, and I did see your email and I didn't respond. I apologize, but I thought we would talk about it here. But I think it's a good idea to have an in-person venue, at least one, but more than one would be better, but with a hybrid option, and I support that.
Okay. You guys have any thoughts? And they know best how to do it. What's the time that's best for people? Sometimes a Saturday one and a weekday one, or I don't know. So I'll just make a motion that TAPS advocate for an in-person workshop for the active transportation plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. This is, I think, the feedback that we kind of were looking for, prior to us creating a workshop, and we were hoping to hold it during TAPS because that's an allotted time, I think, that we have kind of open to the public in in one way. So I don't know yet if it's just a presentation or if we'll
I guess,
like you suggested, something interactive with
yeah,
the citizens.
I guess that's why I made the motion, because I'm afraid that if it's just here, it become kind of a stiff, formal event, and people don't feel free to just engage and have food and sit around in breakout groups and a real chance to engage. This is a great place to talk about.
So your preference is definitely beyond, or not beyond, but not within this setting,
I think we should
Both
do it in
and,
this setting.
or both
yeah.
and.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I think it's pretty much normal when you have a consultant putting together some kind of plan like this where you have public engagement, that you have at least a informal, almost fun thing where there's food and people are engaging in kind of a lively, relaxed way. So that was my motion, and Oliver seconded it. Could we have a roll call? Well, not to the council necessarily. I don't know if we need to make it a big deal, but just like TAPS is saying, we would like to.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what route we need to take it or what we can. And so I think definitely that'll be conversation. for
I'd
us
like
see
to,
what
I'd
we
like to vote on that motion.
Okay.
It's a motion without any teeth in it, because we don't have teeth, but at least it's more than an email. So I'd like to vote on that motion.
I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but there's a time when we ask for future agenda items. So
No.
would you like me to add that as part of that?
Oh, that's, no, I think since we're talking about ATP,
No.
it's on the agenda, so I think I can make a motion that pertains to the ATP.
All right.
And so that's my motion, and Oliver seconded it, so I hope we can just vote on it.
Okay. Do any of the rest of the committee, are you on board with what they seconded, or?
Well, we have a motion and a second, so I think you just roll call and
Just roll it.
see
Okay.
yay or nay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then with the recommendation that we advocate for an in-person option.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, then Member Doyle,
Aye.
Member Dunham Sims,
Aye.
Member Collins,
Aye.
Member Moriarty.
Yes.
Okay, so advocating in person ATP event outside TAPS. Okay. I'll move to the next item on this slide, a draft list of grants. So the last TAPS meeting, everyone spoke, it seemed like everyone spoke basically about wanting to see, what grants are out there beforehand as we get into it. I believe Member Moriarty spoke about, maybe having more preparation if we know what list of grants are out there. So what we've done so far is our consultant grant writer has provided us with a broader, larger list of grants. And they do that periodically, and so what we plan to do is sift through those for grants that are specifically transportation, PED, and bicycle safety related, and then provide that list to you and to people watching, and providing it within the agenda. So we've started that. If you'll notice in the agenda, I believe on one of the attachments, we've begun that process. So you'll find what we've found in our current list that are related to transportation. There's websites and more information per grant for you guys to, peruse through, research a little bit, and, get your hands a little dirty at research. So we've included that in today's agenda packet. And of course, it's, as we say there, it's a kind of a work in progress. So as things come along, that list could potentially get bigger. Yeah.
Just one comment on your list. I really do like it. I think it's a very, very good option for us to have on there. If I could just add one section, if there are price match grants, then I think that would be important for us and the city to know that if it's really, if it's $1 million and the city doesn't have a price match of $1 million, we should, kind of put that aside if it's not a price match grant. Then, so I just think a price match or not price match would be important information to include.
All right, are there any other comments or concerns regarding that item before I move on to the next slide? No? All right, if we can move on to the next slide, please. Item number 6C. Basically, it's our usual list of traffic issues that have been discussed and their status. There are no new updates for those as of now. Next slide, please. Again, there's no new updates for those. Next slide, please. Again, no new updates for those. Next slide. Next slide, please. Again, this item also includes issues related to Caltrans right-of-way. There are no new updates for those items also. If we can go to the next slide, please. All right, item number 7 concerns staff updates. On the next slide, please, you'll find we've included a section for Officer Eubanks with the Pinole Police Department, and you're welcome to provide any traffic updates, please.
Great, thank you. I have a couple of updates and then also a question regarding items that were listed on 6C of traffic issues. So first, just a little recap of April. We had approximately 23 non-injury accident reports, no major injuries or even minor injuries. Conducted approximately 9 pedestrian stops and 244 traffic stops, and of those traffic stops, we cited approximately 37%. One key event that's affecting traffic and pedestrian safety, which is coming up, is May 11th, this Saturday, at Station 74 on Pinole Valley Road. They are having an event there which requires a temporary crosswalk, which will be put in place between Ellerhorst Elementary Blacktop and the firehouse. That temporary crosswalk will be manned by our police explorers, making sure that pedestrians can safely cross that crosswalk. And we expect slower traffic in that area between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., which is the time of the event. And then the item that I wanted to just kind of touch basis on to see if we could circle back around it maybe at the next meeting with an update is the stop sign at Wright Avenue in Carroll. It said that the city procured 2 solar panel LEDs and the installation was scheduled by April of 2024. So it's May now, and I don't believe those have been implemented. So I just want to know where the status is of getting those put at that stop sign.
Okay, I'll look into that with the director and see what updates I can provide for the following TAPS meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Any? Okay. All right, that's been noted. Are there any comments for Officer Eubanks?
Thank you for your report and thank you for being here.
And I'm sorry, I did have one more thing on the line of grants. I know it was talked about what grants the police department was going to, look into. So I did look into at least the timeline of the grants of the Office of Traffic Safety. So I have a timeline for when the fiscal year begins for them and when the deadline is to submit the grants for the following year. So it sounds like the fiscal year for Office of Traffic Safety begins in October, and in December they announce the upcoming grants and they conduct workshops. So that happens in December, and by January 31st of 2025 would be the deadline to submit a grant application. That's at least for the police department.
I had a question about that grant. One, do you know if the city, traditionally police departments apply for that grant, correct? Do you know if the city always applies for that grant or not?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with, I know that we had in the past received a traffic grant from them, which allowed us to have our DUI trailer
Okay.
and some other equipment. I don't know how often we apply for them or the process, but having come to these meetings and it being a topic of concern, it's something that I'm definitely going to look into.
And one other question, I don't know if we have the answer. Traditionally, that's a grant that's used by police departments, but it doesn't have to be, right? Cities can use it for other safety-related things, I think.
Yeah, they have to meet the criteria for
Yeah.
OTS and what they approve for a grant.
So if for some reason the police department in Pinole wasn't going to apply for it, it could be applied for by the city for some other traffic safety-related purpose.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look into that, though. I'll make a note.
Not to fight with the police department, but I guess we would never want to leave money on the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other grants that you might consider looking at. One is there's a cannabis tax grant that funds traffic safety and overtime enforcement opportunities, an ABC grant through the state that does the same. And then there's a tobacco grant, and the tobacco grant workshop is actually tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It's online, so that also has, obviously it's focused on tobacco, but it also, there's components for overtime enforcement for police departments. I think the cannabis one is closed already. It won't open again until next year, and ABC will open probably in the fall. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for your comments, but before I move on, it looks like we have a phone call comment from a 510 number. Hi,
hello, can you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please go ahead and state your name, and I'll start the clock.
Yes, my name's Anthony, and I was calling to ask last year and maybe the previous year, a few commissioners and myself and other people asked for a more detailed traffic citation, traffic stop report in our major corridors throughout the city, like how many traffic stops we had pre-COVID year versus COVID years versus this quarter or year to date this month, so we can see what's happening out there, you know, and where the hot spots are by parts of town, whether it's the central Old Town, west side, east side, in Pinole Valley versus AP and so on. And we have no feel for that. I know the numbers have probably gone up, but I don't know if the citations have gone up because of COVID. There was there seemed to be an unwritten word that went out through somebody, probably the chief of police, that they didn't have time to stop and cite people or want to, because it would create too much trouble and too much overtime for the police department if they had to go to Martinez to put somebody behind bars literally, or charge them, and or go to court, and it takes up time and resources and so on. So we needed a report, and both Mr. Mishra and I believe it was Sergeant Lieutenant Avery said, "Oh, that's not a problem. We'll come back in if not next month, the following month's meeting." And they gave them 2 or 3 months, but they didn't seem to take it seriously, or they just dropped the ball on us, because we don't have that, and we should have that before you know, so we can know where the emphasis should be placed on. Case in point, like with the retail crime theft, as well as the traffic stops up and down Fitzgerald Drive, are, you know, over the top, and and need to have more boots on the ground there, work in that area so people can feel safe to go out, not only driving on the streets and walking around to shop at night, but during the daytime too. And we have to protect our retail tax base and our businesses, as well as continue to make it attractive to attract new businesses into our city. But I don't think the police department has a strategy for attacking the increase in retail crime theft up and down Fitzgerald Drive or even Pinole Valley Road, which has skyrocketed in the recent months, if not year or two. And we need to look at that more carefully and get somebody to work on that. Do we have a strategy for that? And I know it's against the law to have certain things done or not done. And the last question was, we have traffic cams out throughout the city. Someone said we had 30 something. How many of them are being used or actually operating as license plate readers, and or how are they being effectively used to curb red light runners, hit and run people, and things like that to help people? And do we have
Thank
enough
you.
funds
Unfortunately, your time is
to
up.
work with them? Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more comments for this item, can move on to the next slide, please. Oh, please.
Just in regard to the caller's question about crime stats, there are options for community members or anybody to get statistical information through a Public Records Request Act or something like that from the police department, but also I believe that they have an online public-facing portion of their computer system, Citizen REMS or something like that, that has crime data on there. So I encourage people to look at that, and you can get a lot of information on there about what's going on in the city.
Okay. Sounds like a valuable resource. If there are no more comments, can we go to the next slide, please? Again, for CIP projects, I think the one that's currently still open is the Appian Way and Marlesta Road. Again, it's operational. We're real close to wrapping it up. We just have a couple more items to clear up, and then we hope to close this project soon. Are there any comments on this item?
I have a CIP question not related to Appian and Marlesta.
Okay.
It's kind of connected to the ATP.
Oh.
So one of the CIP items is it's RO2101, arterial rehabilitation, and what it's talking about is rehabilitating Pinole Valley Road from Savage Avenue, which is basically by the Pinole Valley Park, out to the Castor Ranch Road, the south border of the city. And the reason I bring it up is because the consultant, when they're talking about active transportation improvements for Pinole Valley Road, they talk about just up to the Pinole Valley Park, and they don't address past that because they assume that this CIP item is already addressing that. And so there'd be no, probably by the CIP item for this stretch of road is ahead of the ATP. So they're assuming that that's already kind of going to be set in stone and or fixed, basically, and so why address it in the ATP, which is fine. But I just want to make sure that, so it's true, if this stretch of road gets rehabilitated, and basically rehabilitation just pretty much means, where does it say? It's road rehabilitation, so the road surface, it's mainly focused on the surface, ADA ramps, a little bit of striping. But my concern is that if it's not considering active transportation, if it doesn't address active transportation and it gets done and it's kind of fixed, then we've painted ourselves into a corner and we're not able to address all of Pinole Valley Road as far as active transportation perspective. And so I guess my one question is it what is the stage that it's at? Is it in the design stage? And if it is it possible for us to kind of be aware of where that's going, specifically from the active transportation, not so much for the type of road surface or whatever? And maybe these are too many questions to ask here, but since all of Pinole Valley Road is important as far as active transportation, and this stretch of Pinole Valley Road is kind of outside of the discussion because it's already being taken care of, could we maybe at the next TAPS meeting include this CIP item on the agenda just so we could kind of be brought up to date, just to address that concern that what if we're going to paint ourselves into a corner and a big chunk of Pinole Valley Road isn't really looked at from the perspective of active transportation?
Okay.
So I guess that's a future agenda item request.
Okay. Okay.
A long one, but that was.
If I understand correctly, you would like an update on that project just to evaluate it
Yeah.
potentially in the perspective of the ATP?
Yeah, exactly. I would like a update on RO 2101 arterial rehabilitation from the active transportation perspective.
All right, I have noted that. Are there any other comments or not necessarily just relating to Member Moriarty's comment, or there's anything else? No? Okay, we can move on to the next slide, please. So under development projects, we do currently have one under review by the planning department. You'll notice the description is Pinole Shores Phase 2 redesign. For more information on this project, you can visit the website that is listed. It generally gives a background of what the project is and basically items what phase of that project they're under, and I believe there might be contacts there if you have any further questions. Next slide, please. Okay, back to our favorite topic, active transportation plan. First off, I just want to thank everyone who showed up to Earth Day on April 20th. We received a little bit of feedback and commentary from the public, which is what we're there for. But for those who've missed it, and as we've alluded to in this meeting so far, if you want to visit the City Hall, in the entryway, foyer, I guess you can call it, there's a table set up. Essentially, it has all of the items that we had, out for show on Earth Day. And for people who haven't, need to catch up here, essentially we have a few segments of roadways throughout Pinole. And there have been some concept drawings of what each of those segments can be, whether it's, length, broadening the lane or shrinking the lane to try and slow traffic or to add bike lanes or, whatever is of interest to the people. And so we really encourage you to also visit walkandrollpinole.com, where you'll find that survey. You'll see everything that we had out on display for that workshop. And again, like I said, you can come visit us here at the City Hall and take your time to look at them. We, again, encourage everyone to take your time to look at them and provide as much commentary as you can. Again, those items aren't set in stone or anything, but there's room to vote on what you like best and room to comment on things that you would add or change, or to say, hey, I hate all of them. If you love all of them, you hate all of them. We need that kind of feedback, because ultimately I think the point of this project is to try and shape Pinole and the image that, the citizens want. So it's better to get your feedback now before anything develops into fruition and then, have the comments after. So again, I invite everyone and your friends and your family, please check out our website and come visit City Hall and interact with our map and also give feedback on, what do you want most? Slow down traffic? You want more bike lanes? Do you want more, public transportation? What's your biggest concern? And we can add this to our draft here. So with that all being said, are there any comments or further discussion that you guys would like to have here, or would you like to move on to the next slide? I don't have any call comments. All right, we'll move on to the next item. For grants update. So in the same vein that Member Moriarty was speaking of the Pinole Valley Road arterial rehabilitation project, design has mostly been done, to my knowledge, but we are also visiting having a grant possibly applied to that. So it's currently under evaluation, and the grant is called the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. And we're working with the county, Contra Costa County, to evaluate the project for that grant eligibility. If there are any comments for this item? No? Okay. Next slide, please. We've included this slide. Essentially, it has our committee members' contact email information. We also have a new City of Pinole Public Works contact. So it is PW service requests at ci.pinole.ca.us. You technically can still email the Public Works email as usual, but this one has been designated mainly for any maintenance requests or service requests. If there's anything down or what have you, it will all hopefully be collected into this inbox. We also have a website for the traffic calming policy. It's on Pinole Valley or Pinole's website. You can see the link at the very bottom. It's kind of a long link. If there are any comments or anything about that.
Yeah, I think that Public Works email address is the one that should go on the earlier slide.
Oh, the citizens to, okay.
And here too, but
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your comment. The next slide, please. All right. I would like to open the floor to the committee for any future agenda items. For now, I have the update for the Pinole Valley Road arterial rehabilitation project. Just seeking an update, essentially, and so that we can explore it, in relation to ATP. Are there any other future agenda items that I should add?
I don't have a future agenda item, but I just wanted to say the new City of Pinole app is great.
Oh,
I signed up to get alerts, and I've been getting traffic alerts, notifications, push notifications. And I think it's great, and I look forward to seeing the new logo on it one of these days. So if folks haven't downloaded the app, go ahead and do so.
all right. Thank you so much. The next slide, please. Chair, would you like to adjourn or close this meeting till the next one?
Yes, let's adjourn this meeting, and we will meet again on June 12th, 2024, 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.